Of course, Twitter lit up with prayers and tributes to Paris the other night, but some took to Twitter to voice their opinions, which many found to be ill-timed and unwelcome. Judith Miller was attacked for this tweet. Now maybe the whining adolescents at our universities can concentrate on something other than their need for safe spaces. But as if to prove her point, some of our favorite student protesters obliged. It's black kids trapped in their rooms in Mizzou, but y'all talking about pray for Paris. Paris. He didn't say it in French. And this. We can remember the tragedy in Paris and still remember Mizzou. We are capable of multitasking. Both situations are equally messed up. They're equal, right?
Similar.
Very similar.
Yeah.
After the attacks, Ann Coulter tweeted, Donald Trump was elected president tonight. And people actually called her a, well, let's just say they called her the same things they call her every day. Salon's take was, real terror unfolds in Paris. Perhaps this will convince the right to tone down their incessant violent rhetoric. Yes, of course, ISIS killed French people because they're tired of listening to Rush Limbaugh. Rob Lowe jumped aboard the outrage merry-go-round when he tweeted during French President Hollande's speech, oh, now France closes its borders. And then, this is either the worst translation of an important speech ever or one of the worst ever given. For this, he was called a low-life scum and racist. Why? Because he didn't like a speech?
Yep.
Is there a moratorium on political opinions after a terrible event? If so, how long does it last? I say spout off whenever it strikes you. I'll judge your argument on the merits, not on your timing. Brian Kilmeade.
Yes. I feel like I just got in trouble. Yeah. Right.
So you have to have the middle name, too.
People should be able to vent their opinions. I don't know what is this outrage of, you know, I understand. See, after a tragic event, I don't tweet because I just...
Too much downside.
Yes, it's not my thing. But I think other people, if they feel they should, go ahead and do it.
Especially Rob Lowe. Rob Lowe is somebody who's actually, he dives into politics. He's been doing this since he was in his 20s. He actually cares and listens. How many people in Hollywood are listening to President Hollande's speech? No one. He has a comment. He puts it out there. I just hope, and I don't know. I don't even know what he did. Did he backtrack on this?
No, he's actually...
Good. I'm glad he left it up. It was a terrible speech. By the way, Sarkozy, who should replace him because he loves Mount Vernon and loves America. Why are you laughing? I want to replace him. He spoke for an hour after that how bad Hollande is. Because he's, by the way, a socialist, takes $9 of every $10 you make, and the country's not safe. He talks tough. But he bombed 20 times, and that's about it. I have no problem with it, and maybe the translation was bad. Maybe it was a great speech with a bad translator. I think Rob Lowe was right on his original premise.
Well, what think you, Charles, of this? People just losing it. You know, when you looked at Judith Miller, at first...
very fired up.
He is, and he should be. Yeah. That's why we have him on the tweet
tomorrow. Do you know I can hear you talk about me?
I didn't know that.
It's a little embarrassing.
Charles, I was shocked by Judith Miller's tweet at first, but then I looked into it, and the students were acting like jackasses.
Well, I think the important question, as you suggested by saying it should be judged on the merits and not the timing, is that she's right. Immediately, we saw a whole host of absolute nonsense.
Yes.
The idea that you're feeling uncomfortable at a university, and this incidentally goes even if you have a claim, which they don't, is the idea that it is comparable to, what,
getting assassinated in a theater.
Being machine gunned on a night out is not only ridiculous, it's disgusting, and it shows people's priorities being out of whack. If Judith Miller is going to be lambasted for commenting on that, then we're in trouble.
Well, that's it. I think that, did you see do we have the Donald Trump tweet? The tweet went around for Donald Trump, and it said, isn't it interesting the tragedy in Paris took place in one of the toughest gun control countries in the world. This was from January 2015, but it went around the internet as if he had just said it, and everyone was threatening his life and telling him he's a big jerk and to crawl back into a hole. But again, it's the overreaction that's crazy to me.
Here's the thing. To respond to the president's speech, I think in the moment and vent your opinion is fine. I do think when the tragedy itself happens, I think people should wait a minute and just take a minute. And the reason is when you see, even like with these shootings in these schools around the country, or you immediately in my Twitter timeline turns into a debate about gun control. And what I think of are the families that in that moment are looking for their loved ones, are worried about what's going on. I always say, and I tweet it all the time. Guys, just take a minute. We can have this political debate in, like, 12 hours. But just take a minute to just say either
it never used to be a problem before the internet.
Yeah,
or, everybody's got to jump in right away.
Thanks,
it's like, give it a minute, and then we can talk about that issue. But right now, people may be dead. We're trying to figure out what's going on. You have loved ones watching the television, trying to see if their sons and daughters are alive. So I don't have a hard time saying just give it a second.
What's wrong with Rob Lowe said? Why would she? If your loved one's dead, why would Rob Lowe's tweet hurt his feelings?
What is Rob Lowe? He didn't like a Hollande's speech. I'm not sure what his problem with it was, but he can express his opinion, right?
Of course, he can express his opinion. I mean, I tend to agree. It always takes. It makes sense to take a breath. It's like a work email. Take a breath. Read
Never works out.
Reread it again. Never works out.
Never works
Same
out.
with the tweet. Everybody wants to send these things out. Now, I occasionally will see something that somebody's tweeted, and I'm on that tweet thing. Occasionally. I don't have as many followers as Brian.
After this show, it's all going to change.
Yeah. And so, could you tell your followers to follow me?
Yes, I did.
I think that's how it works.
do that.
So I'll see something, I'll think, and I want to, and then I'll look at it.
Never works.
And I'll stop. And I'll delete it.
Well, you don't stop with the salty language when you're on this show, though. Maybe you could clean it up a little bit.
Just to defend Donald Trump here, which is something I do rarely, it was telling that people picked on a tweet that he had put out there in January in order to attack him. The fact is, when he put out the original tweet, we all had woken up on that morning on January 7th to hear news. It wasn't as if it was breaking. It was, at that point, decided. We knew the facts. He writes what I think is an eminently reasonable point for the Charlie Hebdo attacks, which is that those people should have been able to defend themselves. And then someone says, hey, this doesn't really work with this attack. Let's go back and find a tweet that he put out there and hit him for that.
Fantastic. Okay, coming up.